Roger Ebert famously said, "Video games can never be art." Now, you and me look at that statement and go, what the fuck is... Has he not played Super Mario Galaxy? Obviously, that's my definition of art, and there are other games I consider masterpieces. For you guys, there are probably other titles you put on a pedestal and revere them as art forms because inherently, art is subjective. No. That's too subjective. Wikipedia says art is deliberately placing elements in a way that appeals to senses or emotions. But as we all know, games don't even have to be good to do that. Otherwise, Da Vinci, Picasso, and Van Gogh would be EA, Ubisoft, and Activision. Because they appeal to my emotions too. All the wrong ones. One obvious difference between art and games is that you can win a game. If it doesn't have rules or points, it ceases to be a game and becomes a representation of a story, novel, dance, play, or film. Now, I'm sure you've seen a lot of comments criticizing Ragnarok along the lines of, "This is just an interactive movie rather than a game. I spent more time watching it than playing it." And the first thing those people need to do is play these games. These are interactive movies. God of War Ragnarok is blockbuster entertainment. And the gameplay is still pretty fucking good. I mean, I don't understand this argument. Look at the spear. Damn! Trying to compare it to a movie means that we've acknowledged the fact that the writing, acting, and cinematography are downright insane. There are way too many games where the dialogue and gameplay take a back seat and I'm just staring at the screen, deciding how long I can listen to these robots speak before I begin to skip what people are saying. You know what? You guys have been spoiled too much. And I need to remind you where we're coming from when we talk about video game voice acting.
Wang-san? Huh? How do you know my name?
It's true, we've had Uncharted, The Last of Us, and Red Dead Redemption completely wipe the floor with the level of emotion that goes into voice acting. And it's also true that good storytelling in video games goes back to the 90s. But there is a new level, a standard that God of War Ragnarok has set. If Breath of the Wild and Elden Ring blow the bar to infinity for what good fucking gameplay can achieve, then Ragnarok takes that bar for storytelling and beats the ever-living shit out of its competitors to give us something we genuinely have not seen before. Kratos, Loki, Angerboda, Brock, Sindri, Thor, Thrud, Sif, Odin, Heimdall, Mimir, Freya, Freyr, Tyr. I can't remember being invested in so many different characters, stories, and drama. So emotional at every twist and turn that my jaw starts dropping for what the side characters are going through. I would listen to Mimir tell stories in parts when I was traveling from point A to point B, but Ragnarok starts mixing it up, changing your protagonist and companions, so you have more stories to listen to during those moments of downtime. I distinctly remember when Kratos was telling the story of his daughter to Freya, and every time a gameplay segment popped up in between, I was like, shut the fuck up! You were saying?
In the service of a cruel god, I was tricked into destroying a village.
When that level of writing even extends into side quests like Mimir finding out that Sigrun once loved a mad king, or Freya talking about the gifts that Odin gave her when they got married, and I'm stopping playing to hear what they have to say instead of skipping bullshit writing, that is art.
The paint is made from the bark of the ironwood trees. They absorb the memories of the forest so that the paint remembers too.
One of the better interpretations of art is that it is the imitation of nature. There are a lot of themes presented in both God of War 2018 and Ragnarok that can be called imitations of real life. Toxic parental relationships, difficult sibling relationships, overcoming grief, trying to unlearn old ways in order to change for someone you care for. But my favorite is one that's a bit more implicit. Purpose.
What if there was someone who could help us? Someone that could give us answers about the giants and who Loki's supposed to be.
Atreus.
Wouldn't it help to understand what I'm becoming?
Atreus! Listen to me.
In God of War 2018, Kratos and Atreus' purposes weren't entirely too complex, beyond scattering phase ashes atop the highest peak in all the realms. Simultaneously, Kratos was trying to teach Atreus how to come to grips with his godlike heritage, whereas Atreus just tried to teach his father how to be more human. It's the end of the first game and the beginning of Ragnarok, where Atreus now has to figure out his purpose in life, not just as his given name, but also as Loki. What makes Ragnarok's writing so interesting is how they decided to explore Loki's purpose during his teenage years. I remember my teenage years. I'm just trying to figure myself out. I want to know who I am. I can't be who you want me to be, Mom. I'm different. You don't understand me. Ugh. But that's what makes for an interesting premise. Loki still tries for his father. He's caught in between who Kratos wants him to be and who he wants to be. Ragnarok's theme of purpose goes beyond that though. It extends into the prophecies foretold by the Jotnar, where everyone's purpose is supposedly set in stone. It spreads to Freya, who believes that her purpose after losing her son is to seek revenge because somebody has to pay. It travels to Odin, who claims his purpose is nothing other than to attain knowledge about the creation of the realms, keeping in line with one of his many attributes, being the all-knowing. When Angerboda finally reveals Loki's prophecy to him, she panics because she no longer has a purpose to fulfill. And now we fall into Ragnarok's second underlying theme, change.
Should I bring him a crown then? He still slays gods, but now he's sad about it? You are the sum of your choices, nothing more.
Talking about change isn't possible without talking about Loki. He's essentially the catalyst to any and all instances of change that take place during the events of both God of War games. His natural curiosity, which was pretty fucking annoying in the first game, is what causes such drastic changes to take place in the second. Killing Magni and Modi, Kratos getting his Blades of Chaos back, the death of Baldur. These are all events that, even if not directly caused by Loki's actions, are still tied in with his existence, and the consequences extend to Ragnarok's story. In fact, the theme of change is so central to Ragnarok that each of the many amazingly written characters have to adopt it in some form to fulfill their purpose. Tyr cannot unite the realms against Odin because he has changed from his God of War nature. A bit too much. Freya can't find peace unless she shifts the object of her vengeance from Kratos to Odin, and in the process, experiences change worthy of one of gaming's greatest redemption arcs. Angerboda has to find a new purpose after revealing Loki's prophecy to him, and can only do so if she changes what it means to fulfill her purpose. Thor does everything he can to change, even trying to give up the mead he loves so much so that he can be a better father as well as avoid subjecting Thor to the same fate as her brothers. Brock and Sindri did end up rekindling the flame that sparked their brotherhood, but Sindri still needed to come forward with the truth he kept to himself about how Brock had previously died and his soul wasn't completely whole. An emotional change for one that resulted in a completely physical change for the other. And the figure central to all these changes was none other than Loki. Some more directly involved, others an indirect result of his actions that led to consequences both delightful and for the better, but on the other hand, shocking and a lot more permanent.
I gave you everything. My skills, my friendship, my home, my secrets, my treasures, and you just kept taking. And now what have I got? Not even my family.
The theme of change truly hits home when it's Kratos who inevitably seems as if his violent nature might remain the same, no matter how hard he tried to abolish it, while Odin kept an open mind and relinquished control of his destiny to Loki so that he might achieve his purpose. And yet, when it truly mattered, one made the decision to change his nature to avoid a deadly fate, while the other, even when asked by Loki if he was willing to, rejected change to eventually meet his doom. God of War Ragnarok is a fantastic game and an even better experience. While there's no set definition to what constitutes a work of art, for a single video game to achieve the level of storytelling that evokes emotion, imitates nature, and whose existence can strike up a conversation about how its writing touches the many people who play it, that deserves praise. So, Roger Ebert, go and play God of War. Oh shit.
Hadouken!